On this episode of the OG and Crab Show, Henry Davis is hitting, Bubba Chandler is still in AAA, and are general managers all powerful? Plenty of song, Crab. Welcome back to the OG and Crab Show. I'm OG and he's Crab. How's it going, Crab?
Yeah.
That good, huh?
Non-syllabic grunts inserted here.
Yeah. Well, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We did meet up in real life. Do we want to lead a little bit with that?
We did meet up in real life. It was magical. We went to a baseball game.
It's the OG and Crab Show. We're live from PNC Park, from the Riverwalk, and we've had a lot to drink. Were we thinking?
We were drinking, not thinking.
We weren't thinking, we were drinking. And now we're here. So we're gonna have some updates for you. We'll splice this in. I'm sure our sober selves will be
very disappointed.
He finishes all my sentences. Look at that. That's perfect.
Yeah, we got hammered drunk.
How are you doing, OG?
I'm doing great. I'm 3 seats to the win.
Are you having fun yet?
I've been having fun since I started drinking.
We sang.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out in the old game.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't remember?
No, there's a lot I don't remember.
Finally found me, the renegade. They had it made. They searched for a bounty. Doug!
Like, we had a whole conversation about what you do for a living, and I don't remember it whatsoever.
That's probably just as well. It's boring.
You told me like a bunch of words, and I was remembering words. I thought, oh man, these are good words, but I have no recollection of the words that you still.
Yeah. We had a blast.
OG and Crab update. We got a Instagrammable pretzel here. How's this pretzel look to you, OG?
It looks like the pretzels I get at the Sam's Club.
Sam's Club pretzel, Travis Williams.
Even if you can't remember it, we had a blast.
And we won.
Even though the Pirates won.
It's bad they can't hit.
It's 1-1 in the 7th. Here comes the ball our way. It's down for a hit.
All right, well, they got that hit. To be continued.
Great. That's a segue. That's what they call in the business, a segue. And we'll post some pictures of and maybe we'll post them right now. Boop. But that was a segue to the fact that we took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, and Henry Davis is hitting, and it still doesn't mean anything. Nothing changed. Nothing matters. Nothing matters, OG.
It could matter someday if he keeps doing it, but it's been a few games. It's encouraging to see him hit. I mean, it's a lot better than seeing him pop up to second base over and over again. But it's way, way, way too early for everybody to start patting themselves on the back or to declare he's arrived, all of that. And I think people know that mostly.
Hello, we're back, department. Are we back? Yes, we're back. We're declaring that we're back, okay? Pirates fans only have 2 levels: utter despair or small sample size hopium. There's no nuance. We're either ready to jump up a bridge, or we're declaring that Henry Davis is the greatest 1-1 pick of all time. And we're at the latter right now. We watched him destroy the baseball from the Yoda-esque coaching of Adam Frazier, who apparently was Yoda after all to Henry's Luke. And now he's hitting the ball. And I was wrong. We were wrong. Again, we were on our own show having to tell people we're wrong. What the fuck is this?
Like, as far as we know, Henry Davis could still put together a career.
Well, you got to start somewhere. With Davis, you got to start hitting. It's like he stunk. I mean, it was like he's been putrid for how many at-bats did he have this year? I don't know off the top of my head, like 80, or not 80, like 30-something at-bats. He was bad. He had like 5 hits. And then in the last 2 games, not even a week. It's not even a week, OG. It's 2 games. In the last 2 games, he's been generationally good. And I'm happy for the man because you got to start somewhere.
We need it. Like if we
Yeah,
want
we
if,
need it.
if we want the team to have any shot, and this again goes back to what we were talking about early, is the key to this team being good is not going out and finding the right couple of free agents. They're not going to fix the issue. The issue is that you've got to have those young foundational players that you control for years and years and years and that you brought up, and those are the guys that need to be your bedrock. And so like he wasn't doing that, and that was where all the despair was coming from, at least on my end. And now
Small sample size, baby.
small sample theater, let's go. So we're super excited for the small sample.
Yeah, his WRC plus is almost league average now, or OPS plus, whatever you prefer. What is it? Let's get a number up here. What's the number, man?
Oh, you want me to look up numbers live on the fly? Oh, that'll take some time. Yeah, I'll let you do that. But
I'm going to do it while you vamp. Go ahead. You say some words.
He's showing what you wanted to see all along, but he's only shown it for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, if you want to give him some extra credit. But here's the thing. He is going to get...
It's 83. That's
83.
Good.
Okay.
So far, 0.4 wins above replacement.
He's on the way up. He's having a glow up, as the kids say.
His aura is high, like low riz high aura right now, dude. No cap. On God, no cap.
Oh, we just lost the Zoomer audience because
Yeah,
they're cringing to death.
We never had them. We never had no Zoomers. I got a mailman in Millvale who's asking me for episodes of this damn show. We got one fan. His name, well, I don't want to, his name, he's a mailman in Millvale. He's the greatest mailman in Western Pennsylvania. He's now a Pirates fan from listening to us hate the Pirates.
That's incredible. Look at the
Right?
job we're doing. Are we doing better than Travis Williams at acquiring fans for the Pirates?
I think so. We should be team president. We should be like a two-headed team president with like two serpent heads.
I agree. Bob, are you listening? When you finally get rid of Travis, give us a shout. You can just slide into our DMs.
We can't do any worse, as we've said. But so yes, he's trending up. The glow up is real. Let's see if it continues in San Diego. Any other takeaways from this offensive outburst of the last few days?
Well, I think it's important to note that Joey Bart just went on the concussion injured list for a week. And so not only did Henry Davis get a little bit more playing time because he's hitting, he's going to get to audition as catcher one now, presumably for at least a week, which I think was due regardless. I mean, Joey Bart has been scuffling pretty badly at the plate, doing nothing but ground ball, oftentimes into a double play.
Ground ball, walk.
Yeah, like so he's had a couple of walk-offs.
No, just walks. Regular walks.
Well, regular walks. Lately he hasn't done much, but he's had a couple of clutch hits this season that people will stick out in people's minds. But he's been really scuffling the last 3 or 4 weeks, I'd say. Really, the month of May hasn't been great for Joey Bart. And so his defense, I don't think, is nearly as good behind the plate as Henry Davis. Now, he's had some good plays. He's thrown some runners out. He's not dreadful back there. But Davis is, to my eye, markedly better. And I'm glad that, circumstances being what they are, I'm not glad Joey Bart got a concussion, but I'm glad that the decision has been kind of taken away from management, that they don't get to meddle too much here. They're kind of forced to give Davis some run. And we'll see, does this keep up, or does he start to very quickly fade? And
I hated Henry Davis. He was a bum. Typical baseball fan, loser on loser island. Now he's making my wildest dreams come true. So I'm back in until next week when he sucks. If he sucks next week, he's dead again. So
getting whiplash from all this flip flopping.
It's hard. It's hard to be up and down. I will say this about I to this day still am pissy they jerked Davis around and they stuck him in right field. I still don't like it. It still just pisses me off. And the less options and the less like buttons to push that anyone from Charrington down has in this organization, the better I feel about it. Like if they only had literally 9 players to play at any given time, I might be okay with that, because then they can't do dumbass shit like call up Alika Williams or some other jack off and just like fuck around with just play your guys and be done with it. And if Davis is your 1-1 and you need Davis to produce, then you should have played him. And perhaps some of his developmental process, the lack of developmental process that he's had is because he hasn't like been able to play. And another thing I wanted to ask or comment on is, on yesterday's telecast, like we talked about, Greg Brown mentions that Adam Frazier teaches or has taught Davis some kind of fancy hitting thing that has unlocked Davis's potential. And that's cool. Very cool. And that's what you pay gritty veterans to do. Come in here and be gritty. But like the $40 million of Sarah Gallis's and Steve Sanders and Brian Stroh's and all of their adjunct professors that they have down there are sitting in a big kumbaya bongo circle, like passing around leaflets of like, launch angles. None of that sunk in. And you have you have a Matt Haig, and you have Matt Haig's doppelganger, Steve Zahn. You have like another guy coaching all these dudes, and like nothing gets through. And Adam Frazier's like, oh, hey, maybe you should try hitting the ball.
Try this one weird trick. Pitchers hate him.
They'll hate you if you hit the ball. And Davis is like, sounds good, bro. And they just all of a sudden became a hitter. Like that's confusing and startling, and is a real indictment on the fact that, sometimes less is more. Sometimes keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, it can be. And it does make you wonder how much they are overemphasizing the technological side of baseball development, where they think they can just buy enough analytical software or write enough analytical software, whatever it is that they're doing. And I'm sure it's all like, it's very important to have good information to make decisions with, but at the same time, having somebody who's been there and who's had that experience, and maybe just like, maybe Adam Frazier saw in the swings that Henry Davis was taking in the cage, like, here's something that I recognize from when I used to struggle somehow, and like, try this cue, try this little thing that got me right years ago. That, I don't want to throw all of it out and say that like it's useless. I think it all contributes, but it's it makes you wonder, like, of all the stuff they're investing in with the traject machine and all the tech, if it wasn't yielding fruit until they finally just got some grizzled baseball veterans in there to come and just chop it up outside the cage and figure it out the old-fashioned way.
I mean, Gene Lamont, they resurrected Gene Lamont he's like a zombie out there. God love him. I mean, he's like he's our grandpa. So I'm not making fun, but like, he's our grandpa. Like, so.
Oh, yeah. He's old enough to be, maybe on the young side, but yeah, no, he is. He's old enough to be, no, you know what? No, he's not old enough to be our grandpa. He's old enough to be the nephew's grandpa. He's old enough to be our dad.
Right. Okay, fine. He's old enough to be our dad. That's the nephew's grandpa. But the point is that they resurrected him to go sit in the dugout. And so now they're like, got numbers analysts running around, and they got these old school dudes in there going like, maybe you need to hit the ball. It's just, it goes back to some of this stuff with the Pirates, where they never seem to be able to quit stepping on their own dicks. They never know a lane to be in, and they just. And I understand I'm not anti sabermetrics. I mean, I grew up with the Billy Bean era, and I grew up with that stuff. It's just so striking to me that like Charrington could not get some of these messages home, and then it turns out like Adam Frazier does it like by accident or whatever. Like, hey, hit the ball, kid. I'm like, oh shit, no, really? Wow, what have I been doing? You've been missing the ball, kid.
I'm skeptical that it's all Frazier. I'm sure that it helped, and maybe it was like the cherry on top of all the work he'd been doing, because like you hear about him, like we know he was at Driveline 2 winters ago, and they tried to completely remake his swing, and that was a disaster. And he's been to all kinds of independent hitting labs and stuff, and just he's trying, like, it's almost like he's trying too much, And we don't know what Frazier told him to do or to try or what this drill consists of or any of that stuff. And that'd be fun to know. But
I think the
like,
drill, I read it today. It was like the drill was something along, and maybe I'm misconstruing it, but it was something along the lines of like, in order to try to pull the ball, try to drive the ball to the middle of the field more instead of a straight pull, because the more you pull it, the less like you'll get like a lot of like underneath contact or something of that nature. So he's just trying to drive the ball in the middle of the field, which the
I've
point
heard
is
that
this.
before. That yeah, and especially in batting practice, you definitely don't want to be pulling the ball in batting practice. In batting practice, you want to go the other way. You want to you're trying to hit line drives. If you're out there taking daddy hacks and just trying to impress the people who got the special passes with your BP home runs, you're not really tuning your swing. Or at least so I'm told. Anyway, that's it. It's nice to see him hit. We hope it keeps going, but like we'll just have to wait and see, right? There's a lot of baseball left to play, and this is just a very small sample, like we said.
Yeah, it's nice to see something positive with this team who's still 15 games under 500. So still a long
They
way
dug
to
themselves
go.
quite the hole. They really did.
What's our record under Donnie Ball? Like 500 now? Something like that?
They're a game under. I believe they're 9-10 under Don Kelly.
Wow. Amazing.
So not quite 500, but trending up.
He's gonna save every win. People is just more power to Ben Cherington. Another angel gets its wings. If you've ever seen it, It's a Wonderful Life. Daddy,
Of
every
course.
time a bell rings, the angel gets his wings. Every time the Pirates win, a Cherington gets his wings. That's what this is. And I want them to lose because Cherington needs to go. And I guess we're going to talk about GMs here.
We'll talk about GMs.
What else we have on our list?
Yeah, that's coming up. But before we get to that, let's talk about one other lever that a GM could potentially pull, and that is calling up top prospects from the minor leagues. Our top prospect right now is Bubba Chandler. He's the excellent pitcher down there with Indy who throws hard and has the stuff and everybody wants to see him come up, but he keeps getting passed over for Braxton Ashcraft, who came up and debuted in the last week. And earlier than that, he got passed over for Mike Burrows, who had debuted. He got a cup of coffee last year, but this was his 2025 debut. And so Bubba keeps getting passed over, even though he's the top prospect. What gives?
I prefer to think of Bubba as like a multiversal Clemson quarterback still. He's still Clemson to me. He never came here. Somewhere there's a timeline where he's starting.
Is he still a two-way player too?
Yeah, sure. He's getting paid $5 million a year at Clemson or something like that with an NIL contract. Super 2, baby. It's what this is. Super 2. The old school Chris Bryant's pissed off and he wants to trade service time manipulation that they've been doing. The Yankees do it and the Pirates do it. Tale as old as time. That's what this is. If you are the Pirates, why would you call up Bubba Chandler? What if he wins the Rookie of the Year again? And we got to pay the man and we're going to lose a year or whatever, however the new rules work with all that. So it's like, if you're the Pirates, there is zero incentive to bring this dude up. Outside of the fact that you're pissing him off down there. I'm sure he's very pissed off to be jerked around. I don't blame him. But from a Cherington perspective, why? This is a loser team. They're on loser island going nowhere. So why bring this guy up? So bring him up when you can manipulate it. After you manipulate his service time, you get a whole nother year of control and all that nonsense. And then you do what you do with him and you bring him up.
He had a wild few starts there here in the middle of May too. Like he had a string of starts, 3 or 4 starts where he was walking a bunch of guys.
Just stop.
His whip was over 2 for a little bit of there.
Stop. There's no more boxes for this dude to check. So don't give me a box to check. We're not checking anything. It's just
he needs to work on his breaking stuff.
Oh yeah. He needs to work on all of that. Yeah. He should probably work on his play calls as a quarterback. He's got a lot to do as a quarterback and a pitcher. No, but seriously, he deserves to be up here, but they're not going to, and I don't blame them because this is what you do when you are a general manager who is staring into the deep, dark abyss of this.
We don't know exactly when the Super 2 cutoff will be until years later, but there's some pretty good estimates out there.
So yes, his whatever the Super 2 date is, that's when the Pirates will know this. They'll bring him up after that.
Whatever strategy they take, if it's a Super 2 thing, it's probably going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch. I mean, I'm interested in seeing him pitch. I mean, it's a pitching factory, I've been told. So, blah blah words. I don't know, man. Like,
we'll see him when we see him. He's not going to come up and save the season. People get so impatient. Like, everybody will acknowledge that the season is completely toast, and yet people still have the same, like, we got to have urgency. We got to get it, like, urgency. Like, the season's over, everybody. Like, we got to think about, like, running things strategically for the future, and that means not lighting a year. Super 2 is about money. It's not about it's like the control is there. They got the additional year of control on Bubba, barring getting a top 2 finish in Rookie of the Year, which would, like you said, award him a full season, a full year of service time, like it did for Paul Skeens last year. As long as that doesn't happen, they got that extra year of control back in like the middle of April. So that's long past. Super 2 is just about not having to pay him 4 years of arbitration.
It's the money plus, right? But when we say control from the Pirates' perspective,
if there's an ARB4, they might as well not have control, because they're not gonna. They're gonna.
And a lot of teams,
it's
not just the Pirates, because a lot of teams feel that way too, especially small market teams.
No, it isn't just the Pirates. It is very commonplace, and like we said, we'll see him when we see him. So that's
I'm excited, but I don't get excited about minor leaguers. I watch some minor league games. I generally last night I was watching Bradenton just to see Connor Griffin. So, but to me, these players are not real major leaguers until they come up in a major league situation and do major league things. So I am aware, Pirates fans, the season is over. To my mailman friend in Millville, the season's over, brother. Let's just enjoy baseball on the radio and drink Iron City and Duquesne Pilsners and stuff. But there's no urgency to bring him up, and that's how I feel about it. So I don't blame the Pirates for doing this at all. I'm not mad about it. Just let them, do what they're going to do with his service time, and then we'll go from there.
Yep. Hope he does well when he gets here, and he'll get here when he gets here. The big topic for this episode is something that came to mind as I was reading Jason Mackey's piece in the PG this past weekend when the Brewers were in town. That prompted this article. We'll link it in the description and the show notes if you want to go read it yourself. But the gist of it is that Mackey was revisiting the decision that was made back in 2019 between 2 finalists for the Pirates GM vacancy at the time. One being Ben Cherington, who, as we all know, ultimately got the job, and the other being Matt Arnold, who at the time was an assistant GM with the Brewers and has had since, I believe, in 2021, so like a year and a half, 2 years later, he was elevated to general manager of the Brewers after his boss, is it
David Stearns?
Yeah. He stepped down. He's now the president of baseball operations for the Mets.
That was in 2024.
Well, that's when he got hired by the Mets, but he stepped down from the Brewers, I believe. It's in Mackey's article, and I don't have it open.
They did one of those things where, where Stearns was rumored to leave for a while.
Right. He had 1 foot out the door and was basically not doing it. So suffice it to say that Arnold got elevated to be in charge of baseball ops for the Brewers around 2022, and has been there since. And so what Mackey was exploring is look at the resume he's put together in his short time running the Brewers and how it contrasts with the relative futility that we've gotten out of Ben Cherington. And so he details the absolute fleecing of a trade where they got William Contreras from the Braves after inserting themselves into a deal that was going to be between the Athletics and the Braves, where the Athletics were sending the Braves. Who's their current catcher that signed an extension? God, I'm terrible with names tonight.
Sean Murphy?
Sean Murphy, yeah. So Sean Murphy was going to Atlanta, and Atlanta suddenly found themselves not needing a catcher who they had been playing as a DH. And he was doing great as a DH, so he can absolutely hit. But the Brewers, Matt Arnold, got them mixed into this deal. So the Brewers gave up Esteury Ruiz. He went to Oakland. It was still Oakland at the time. Murphy came to the Braves, and somehow William Contreras goes to Milwaukee, and then they put him in their catcher's lab. And so now he is one of, if not the best catcher in baseball right now. And they got him for a guy who is not, he's not even on the major league roster with the Athletics. Esteury Ruiz, who's been kind of up and down, kind of a quad A. He's more speed than anything else. So they really did a great job with that trade. And they also, I wanted to double check this. They signed, while Arnold was there, I don't know if it was exactly when he picked up the mantle as GM, but it was either right before or right after is when they signed an international free agency, their current star outfielder, Jackson Churio. And they have since given him an extension, and so he's going to be foundational for them. And he was a top prospect in baseball a couple years ago. He's now shaping up to be a very, very shrewd investment on their part. So they've got some really high quality personnel moves out of Matt Arnold, while we have spent much of the duration of this podcast's existence lamenting the opposite for Ben Cherington. And so what I wanted to explore is the GM as auteur. So I went to film school. Little tidbit about me.
I know movies. I've seen one.
In film school, we learned about the concept of the auteur director. And so what an auteur director is, it's the idea that the director puts an indelible print on every aspect of the film that they're making. And so there are certain filmmakers that get this title of auteur because they are in control of absolutely every part, from production design to cinematography to writing the script, all of it. Like they want to have heavy involvement in all of it. And so guys like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese and Wes Anderson and Stanley Kubrick, these are examples of auteur directors who have really, really specific visions that they want to make sure, like from soup to nuts, that the film has their fingerprints on it. And then on the other side, you've got sort of like the delegator directors, guys who will work in the system and give creative control over to their production designers, their cinematographers, their editors, their screenwriters. Ron Howard is a good example of that. Like, he makes some great movies, but he's not an auteur. He's not doing all of it himself. He's sort of managing a bunch of other talented people who are doing that with him. And so what I wanted to discuss as this relates to baseball general managers is, how do we give too much credit to the GMs when their organization that they lead signs Jackson Churio or trades for William Contreras? How much of that is Matt Arnold, who inherited a rather well-oiled machine from his predecessor?
I don't know where to start with this. That's a lot of words to say.
Yeah.
That Matt Arnold is good and Ben Cherington sucks. You're not gonna get me to say I want Matt. Here's what I'm gonna say. I would rather have Matt Arnold every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Full stop. I don't give a shit if he's an auteur, if he delegates the roles to a fucking homeless guy under a bridge. Get me guys that can hit the ball, period. And if Matt Arnold could do that through whatever stylistic choices he makes with who he delegates, or if he doesn't delegate, look, some guys have mojo and other guys don't. Like, this is the post Billy Bean world. So I would argue that most of these guys are auteurs if we're going to stick to the thematics here. You know, but a lot of these guys are also coming from this Harvard MBA school of business, you know, disruptor bullshit, high finance capitalism crap, where they think that they're going to be, you know, the ones to change the system or disrupt the system. So I think there's a lot of leadership crap that they bring out of that world that they bring into baseball. And so you get this amalgamation of like strong personalities. Like Theo Epstein was a rock star and he got it done in 3 places, right? Or 2 places, pardon me. And
Dombrowski is another example of sort of like a force of will.
right. But here's the thing I'm going to say is those guys still have to delegate. Like they can't do everything themselves. They can't watch every minor league baseball game and have a report on every player at their level of Bradenton. So someone still has to do that. Someone has to report to that boss, and that boss then reports to the guy who reports to Charrington or whomever it is in the example, Matt Arnold or Dave Dombrowski or whatever. So there's a certain amount of delegation that has to go on. Where I think that your thesis statement lies is that some of these guys have like much more like, okay, well, let's use Huntington for an example. Neil Huntington would have been in the middle of a 3-way trade, whether he had a right to be there or not. He did that several times at the beginning of the Pirates, his Pirates tenure back in like 2007, 8, 9, and 10. He used to be part of shit all the time. So I think that guys have, like later on, maybe not, but at the beginning he was. So I think that certain general managers have like a proclivity for an aggressive type trader mentality. Jerry
Dipoto, they call him Trader Jerry.
Thank you. I couldn't get it out. I was thinking, what the F is that guy's name? From the Mariners. So yeah, he's a guy who has that. AJ Preller is seemingly for the Padres, seemingly in the middle of everything. So, but they have to delegate. Like they don't have every stat in front of them. They have to have someone who has to help them make these decisions.
I think with trades are where you really see the GM most in control. Like that's where they're like working the phones and.
Well, we can only trade with Boston and Toronto because they're the only 2 places they'll take Ben's calls.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't know anybody else's phone number. So he just trades with his old shops. And the other reason that this sprang to mind for me is like we talked in previous episodes about Charrington tearing down the wrong side of the house when he started. And after the COVID year that there was instruction from above to don't shake things up too much. Don't rock the boat too much, Ben. I just hired you, but maybe hold off on cleaning house and rebuilding things for a little bit. And he did. So he didn't hold off on getting rid of any players. He shipped off a bunch of players, and we've talked at length about how badly that went. And then finally, in 23 and 24, he started piecing together presumably his vision for what the front office should look like. And he's like years late doing it. And so now he finally has his guy running the draft board and his guy doing pro scouting and his guy doing international. And it's kind of like too late, man. Like you needed to be setting that stuff up. And if you were told you couldn't by your boss, like that sucks. That's bad timing. But at the end of the day, the results are that they don't have the runway to let all of that play out now. And so that's what's unfortunate. And what had me thinking about like, well, Arnold, if he had been hired here, would he have been told the same thing that like, welcome to Pittsburgh, Matt. You're not allowed to make any changes other than gutting the roster for the first 2.5 years. Like, would he have found a way to make the Jameson Tyone trade bear fruit? Maybe he's done some outstanding trades in Milwaukee, so maybe his teardown trades would have been fruitful and we'd be singing a different song right now. That's entirely possible.
I mean, I think both things are true. Any general manager coming in under whatever preconditions that were in place after COVID would have had to operate the same way. So then it just becomes a matter of what size balls that person had. And I think Matt Arnold has bigger balls than Ben Cherington. And I think for better or worse, he would have managed to get more than, guys like Hudson Head or whatever, and Eddie Yean and all these Will Crow.
He definitely comes from organizations that know how to do that stuff. He started with the Rays. We love that.
Yeah.
And then he went to the Brewers. And so he has just been soaking in small market methodology and wheeling and dealing. Whereas Ben Cherington came from a top 5 market in baseball via a top 7 market in baseball. And
I mean, I think
what were you doing?
Yeah, he's just very conservative dude. He's a conservative dude who ran into an owner who's risk averse, and that's not a great combination. And there's no mojo in that room. And whatever, like, this is why I'm starting to turn around on my argument that, after we talked about Shelton getting fired, we wondered about Cherington. I was all hell bent that Cherington was going to get fired. And I still think there's a chance he might. But the more I realize I'm talking myself into the year 7 with the gang. Because if you're the owner, if you're Bob, and you said, hey, we just had COVID, our revenues are down, like I can't afford to fire all these people, you're gonna have to make do with what you got. And Ben's like, all right, fuck, I'll make do with what I got. I guess if we're gonna make do with what we got, I better go all in on pitching, because that's what I just touched in Toronto, and I got a really good handle on the pitching stuff. So let's do that, because I got Joe Delicari running my draft board, and he's an idiot. So these other people I can work with. I think that was probably something that did happen. And now but like, if you're Bob, do you give him the benefit of the doubt and go, all right, man, I gave you a raw deal. So this is really, in my mind, not year 6, and not technically year 7, right? As we move into year 7, like, do you just give him that benefit of the doubt, or you just say the record is so bad, I don't care, and I have to move on and retool? So, I mean, I think there's a chance that Cherington comes back, and I think there's a chance we do this all over again. And I think Cherington is conservative, and he's not an auteur. His boss in Boston, who went to Chicago and managed to erase 2 loser island franchises and turn them into winners, and gave those fans hope and a banner that will fly forever. That guy is got the auteur mojo. Cherington is a production designer who hopes he can be in the same room as Marty Scorsese. And that's only reason why he's here. And so to this day, I'm just like, Matt Arnold is more of an auteur in your analogy than Cherington is. That's a guy who asserts himself, puts himself out there. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You're going to have some real, Ridley Scott has some bad movies in his list, and he's an auteur, and he's got some winners. And that's what happens sometimes. So I'd much rather go with that. And now we're stuck with, a guy like who has no vision. And I don't think he still has a vision.
Well, we've heard rumors, and now I think we've heard some reporting even that Bob Nutting has basically said that he doesn't want to do a tear down and rebuild, like that we've spoken previously, that like there's not a core here. There's not you kind of have to do that if you want to come back and compete. Like what are you building around? There's no there. And when you're coming off of a series win in the desert and and they're hitting 19 unanswered runs, and you can talk yourself into anything. But
did I talk myself into the fact that Henry Davis was good?
So like it's easy to get high on the hopium after a series like that, but
injected it into my
it's dick. The same roster. It's the same very, very thin farm system when it comes to bats, and it's hard to see it. And so when you have an owner that is reluctant to do the necessary thing, and so does that make it more likely that he just runs it back and says, okay, I'll give you one more try, Ben? Is that compounding the problem?
What do you think? Is that compound? What kind of question is this? Oh, gee, stop!
I'm a host on a show here. I'm trying to.
Of course, it's compounding the problem. This is we're in purgatory. So I mean, what I would prefer to see now at this point is a scenario where they split the difference. You fire Cherington, and you bring in another guy, this is one of 30 jobs in the world. People will kill themselves to get this job. Only yinzers say dumb shit like nobody wants to work here under. That's so fucking dumb. Me and you, we'd be like Squid Games. Me and you, I'm like stabbing you to get that shit. Like, get out
Duct
of my
tape our
way.
wrists together, and in the other hand is a
Yeah,
knife.
they're like, you're right, exactly. People are gonna want this job. I'm sure. I mean, obviously, Charrington is selling his house. All that stuff happened. It's true. So where there's smoke, there's fire. So, but I think a more likely scenario at this point is another general manager comes in here and with a retool type of mandate, and for better. All that stuff with Charrington is true about, hey, he was hamstrung by Bob out of the gate, but that doesn't excuse the fact that his resources have been, the way he's used them have been terrible. And so, Michael A. Taylors and all these other idiots and losers, like, they're bad. And every year it's the same broken toys from Misfit Island. And those resources could be used much more effectively. And I would suspect that a guy like Matt Arnold would have done that. And another guy could come in here and do that. And if Bob is hard as a rock for Bubba Skeens or Paul Chandler, then they're going to build around these pitchers. Then the only way to do that is to bring another guy in, and that guy grows a pair and puts his mark on this thing, and he can be the guy in the history book, that can lead them over the hill, crest that hill. I mean, even for Christ's sakes, Sid Thrift, and I'm dating myself, Sid Thrift built the Pirates that won in the 90s, and he got his ass fired before they even crested that hill. Another guy, whose name escapes me, Thompson, came in here and helped to get them to where they were at in the 90s. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, and we're seeing it play out right now with
The Tigers.
The Tigers.
Yep.
So,
in 2022, August of 2022, Al Avila, who had been, I want to say, he was in charge of that club for more than a decade, I think. He gets canned mid-season in August. And here we are. So end of last year, they had their magical run to the playoffs with all the chaos pitching and plus Skubal, and now they're even better. They're arguably the best team in the American League, or one of. But it's funny to see how the GM that drafted all and or signed all of the guys who are making them one of the best teams in the American League, he's the one that got the axe.
Larry Doty was the guy that came in after Sid Thrift, and then he got fired in 91, and then Ted Simmons was here in 92 and 93. So that's 3 general managers in that era of winning Pirates baseball. I think Charrington is not an auteur. He does not put his mark on a franchise. He rode Epstein's coattails, struggling here. I don't know what he did in Toronto. Maybe a really educated Blue Jays fan can educate us. Maybe some shit with some pitching. I don't know. But like, if 3 general managers could get the Pirates to where they were last competitive, then I'm willing to give it another shot. Time's a flat circle.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more complicated now. Like, we felt really confident. I know I did. I felt confident, and I still think I lean that he most likely loses his job during or after this season, probably after. But I'm starting to waver. You're giving me doubts.
I'm telling you, this is an unserious franchise with an unserious owner, and mostly, God love us, all unserious fans with an unserious payroll. So they're going to do unserious things, and this is, I want them to do a serious thing and be a real big boy franchise and do things. I believe it or not, wearing a pirate shirt, do want them to do things. But I'm telling you, OG, that it's a clown show run by clowns, and they can't even get out of their own way for PR. They're going to make this as stupid and difficult and as drawn out as humanly possible. Full stop. So who knows? We could get Ben Charrington extension. We could get Neil Huntington could come back. We could get like a dude like a third, some random like John Wayner could be I don't, it could be anything. It could be that anything.
Get the entire what college did they go to up in New England?
Amherst.
Amherst. Get the entire Amherst Alumni Society down here to run it as a group.
Sure. Maybe there's an intern that Bob can hire who's like getting paid like nothing, and Bob can pay him $15 an hour to be the GM. It's quite possible. Quite possible. He'll get a Paul Skeens bobblehead and a cutoff shirt and some sunglasses, and he'll be the GM.
Well, that was an interesting discussion. I just had that thought and prompted by Mackey's article, and so thanks for indulging me on that.
Yeah, where did we decide on? Charrington's not an auteur.
He's not an auteur. Matt Arnold probably is. Theo Epstein definitely is. Dave Dombrowski definitely is.
Billy Bain. Is Neil Huntington an auteur?
He's probably like leaning in that direction. He's not hyper fixated on every little detail. He has trusted lieutenants, like cinematographers that he likes to work with, and so maybe Neil Huntington he has that auteur's vision, but he's not Theo, he's not Dombrowski. He has an idea, he has a vision, but he's also letting Joe Dellacari run his drafts.
I mean, the dude is an auteur. Full stop. I don't know how else to say it. This guy managed to get a hit movie off of a shoestring budget with an entire crowd who wasn't even interested in like the tagline or the poster. And he was such an auteur that the Major League Baseball had to change their rules for him. We can't do the shift anymore because, God forbid, the Pirates won on the shift, and amongst other teams popularized it with the Rays and such. But like the Pirates did it to an effect where people were like, "Fuck,
got to cap the draft because the Pirates are out there spending too much money."
Correct. Like that's some vision. That's auteur shit.
Okay. The rule change aspect of it, that might be the thing.
I'm not saying he's Billy Bean, and we're not making a movie about Neil Huntington. We're not writing books about Neil Huntington outside of that terrible Travis Sawchuk book. But like as far as Pirates general managers go, working with this bullshit, I mean, yeah, this was like that was a win, man. The shift, pitch to contact, all these guys, the body types, we're all going to get these big guys and we're going to have them pitch down in the zone. And, that's like a vision. That's auteur shit. That's a Wes Anderson movie where you got like, 50 guys all named, Phoenician, Zizou, Tenenbaum that are all like pointing at, doing this thing where they're like, they're all quirky. It's the same fucking energy or whatever. I mean, Matt Arnold's, AJ Preller's, Neil Huntington's, here's a loser for you, Ruben Amaro Jr., right? Where's his vision? He was the general manager of the Phillies. They won a World Series. What indelible mark did he leave that you would say, oh man, that's a Ruben Amaro team. That team, look at the way they hit the ball. Reminds me of Amaro ball. Nobody says that, right? So I mean,
no, they don't.
So I'm saying Huntington is an auteur. And he might be. I think Ridley Scott would be a good call for him.
I'll give you that.
I mean, it feels like a Neil Huntington comp, right? Like the Neil Huntington was good. That was good. It was good. The Neil
it was good until it wasn't, right?
That was bad. Was bad.
It didn't adjust. Okay, fair enough.
Well, thank you for agreeing with me. You didn't have to do that, by the way. You could say, "Hey, fuck you, Crab. You're wrong."
Nah, it's not like me. So just like with film directors, you have auteurs and you have delegators. And if you are a big cinephile, you're probably much more likely to be a big fan of the Tarantinos and the Wes Andersons and the Stanley Kubricks than you are. Like, you notice I didn't really name a bunch of delegators outside of Ron Howard because they're not the reason you're going to the film. You're going to see the stars and the special effects and all of the stuff that they organized for whatever superhero movie. That's probably a good spot to end. As always, I'm OG. That's Crab. You can follow us on any podcast platform you like. The links are in the description. And we'd appreciate a subscribe. We'd appreciate a like. Or
That's a lot
crab.
to ask, or don't. Just don't like any
Or
of these
don't.
things. Don't like any of them. I don't care. Just please manifest energy so we can get Ben Cherington fired and we can rebuild the team and become the Detroit Tigers.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun to be on top of the NL? Maybe someday,
Maybe.
if we get the right guy who gets the right guys.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, I'm OG. That's Crab.
See ya.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.